listening to Clarity on Fire, a podcast for people who know what they don't want out of their life and career, but aren't sure what they'd rather be doing.
In a world where it's easy to exist, but hard to feel alive, we, Kristen
and Rachel,
two certified life and career coaches, are here to help you cut through the information overload, get unstuck, and focus not just on how you can have a career you're passionate about, but how to create a whole life that feels fulfilling.
So join us here, where we serve up inspiration and down-to-earth wisdom in a way that only two best friends can.
We want you to experience the relief of knowing that, yes, you're allowed to want more out of your life and career.
And no, you don't have to wander through the dark anymore. Our job is to light the fire that shows you the way. Let's go. Hi.
Hey.
Oh, well, I think the title of this episode will probably
Give it away a bit.
So I feel like we can't really do a prelude. I feel like we just kind of have to do the bottom line up front and then go back and tell the longer story.
Well, my personal prelude before we get into this, if I sound at all off or for some reason I'm losing my words, I don't know. I am currently covered in hives and experiencing some kind of like sun poisoning situation, which is super fun.
Yeah, she's literally Zooming with me in a sports bra right now. She's not in the room with me. She couldn't come over because she can't wear a shirt, which I wouldn't have cared about. But I don't know. The people in the parking lot might have cared.
It's kind of awkward to like drive and walk around your neighborhood. Like, it's just kind of weird. So... And also, who wants to be hanging around somebody with like gross blistery skin? So here we are.
I lived with you when you had gross blistery skin before. So I have seen it up close and personal. And it was way worse. It was on your neck.
Yeah,
so it was way worse.
So I'm a little tired and a little out of it. And for some strange reason, it's making me not know what the words are for things that I'm trying to say. So podcasting should be a fun exercise.
I wonder if your brain is slightly inflamed.
Who knows? There's inflammation
everywhere else,
all over. So
yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised.
Well, I don't know. There's something
a bigger brain for the time being.
I think it has less room to think right now. Is probably what's happening.
It doesn't feel like a bigger brain today.
No. Well, I think it's interesting that this is corresponding to the day that we're announcing that we're going on another hiatus. Because I don't know. I just think it's like, we need one. See?
Yeah, I feel like my body is like, hi, yeah. You need a break from probably a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, you're doing a lot.
Slow it way down.
Time to do less. Yeah. Okay, so story time, gather round. We're going to talk about, I'm going to talk about why we're doing another hiatus, but I really want to share more of like emotionally my journey to this point, because it was my instigating this. And Kristen totally agreed. She wasn't like, no, I want to keep podcasting. Kristen will literally never do that. I'm sorry.
I wouldn't have been the one to initiate a podcast in the first place. So I
let alone keep it going.
Even though I will fully admit, I have enjoyed it way more than I expected, but it didn't feel like it was going to be my favorite medium. I thought
at the time
writing would be more of my favorite medium, but I don't know. I've turned a corner.
Well, yeah, but she's not sad to pause at the corner. And I don't know, sit in a lawn chair, but not in the sun.
Not in the sun.
Okay, so as you guys know, and I can leave some episodes in the show notes that if you don't know, we can catch you up to speed. Kristen, for a long time before I got sort of to a similar point, has craved a lot more balance between her fire starter side and her thriver side. And 2 years ago was like, I just kind of want to get a job and I want to keep coaching, but I don't want to keep doing it in a way where it puts pressure on me to like make money and sustain my whole life. I'm exhausted by that. And I understood that. I just wasn't at that point yet, but that was fine because even though there was like I would take more clients than her. Yeah, it was perfect. It was fine. Like, and we still split the things that we needed to split. Like, it was totally fine. And I think that's worked pretty well for you. I know you've been overwhelmed sometimes when it felt like, wow, there's a lot of work to do. And I kind of have 2 jobs. But I think having a Thriver job has really helped you emotionally balance out and maybe even enjoy the work we do more because you're only doing it because it's fun.
Well,
not because you have
side
to.
Of me has been relieved to take any kind of pressure, or I don't really want to use the word obligation, but that's what it can feel like when you're a Thriver sometimes, any kind of work, because you need it. You need to do it to fund your life.
Yeah.
And that inherently adds pressure, which can get a little draining for a Thriver. But the fact that there hasn't really been any pressure on me on the coaching side for 2 years means, yeah, it is more fun. It's just, I do it because I want to do it and because it's like a bonus to the work I'm already doing. And it's like the really fulfilling, frankly, it's like the most fulfilling work, while the other is more like the Thriver work. That has worked pretty well. I'm not going to say I haven't had days when I was overwhelmed or where my fire starter side was like, hey, I want to go back to owning my time all the time, because that's a normal part of having 2 passion profiles. But on the whole, it's been a good balance for me. And so I'm not gonna speak for you, but I think you're kind of getting to a similar point that I got to a couple years ago.
Yeah, it just took longer. I mean, I'm not. You and I sort of often go through complementary journeys where we sort of want opposite things, but in a way that ends up balancing out, which is helpful. But I have been feeling probably for 1.5 years that something is going to have to change, but it just never felt like the right time. It did for so many reasons. I mean, 1.5 years ago, I was still very much in the throes of like, oh, my house just flooded and I'm going to have to move in with my parents. And it was not a time to make any other radical changes. Like I was already undergoing like a very severe radical like catastrophe in my personal life. And, there's just a lot. And then when I lived with my parents, I decided I'm going to like get on the dating apps again. And then that'll be Forever Alone season 2. At some point that'll come. Okay. I promise. But that sort of threw me into another level of chaos and I didn't need more change. But about 6 months ago, sort of after I'd had some time for the rest of my life to calm down again and to get back to equilibrium around like New Year's Eve of 2022, I kind of acknowledged, all right, I think I'm ready for coaching to be more of my Thriver hobby rather than my full-time job and business. And here's the thing. I love coaching. I can't believe I've done it for 11 years.
I know. It really is mind-boggling.
Never having done anything for that long. Never. I mean, I've never had a job that I've done that long. I've never had a hobby that I stuck with for that long.
Nothing.
Right. So I must really like it if I've been doing it this whole time and I still find it interesting and I still find it fun and I still love meeting all the people that we attract here, like through Clarity on Fire. I mean, we attract some of like the coolest, most interesting, nicest, like smartest people. And I love working with them and I will continue to love working with them. That's not going to change. But I do not like being a business bitch. Okay. I never really have. And when I was younger, I think I had more gumption around it. And I also feel like it was more in vogue in like the earlier 2010s and like mid-teens to be like a boss babe. And now, to quote an amazing meme I saw on Instagram, all I really want to be is a moss babe. Like, I want to live in the woods. I want to have like a little hut in the woods and make potions. I don't want to be a boss babe. I haven't wanted to be one for a really long time. I want to be a moss babe. And like, I don't want to be a rolling stone, right? A rolling stone gathers no moss. I want to gather moss. Thrivers,
you want to join my
like to gather moss.
I will happily. We can make a little moss commune in the woods for sure.
She's just like, as long as it's very forested and there's no sun.
And I can wear a big sun hat all the time.
That's fine. So I've never really liked it, but the older I've gotten, the less interested I am in anything that involves a ton of masculine energy. I don't feel attracted to hustle culture. I think it's really toxic. I am also just frankly not interested in marketing. I'm good at it. I can do it pretty well, but it's not what you would call my zone of genius. It's like a zone of competence, maybe even a zone of excellence. But when you're having to do something consistently that's not in your zone of genius, maybe it's your zone of excellence again, maybe it's your zone of competence, it takes a lot more effort and energy to have to stay there and produce. And it feels more, in my experience, it feels more like masculine energy because it's more forced, because you're having to push, because it's not quite natural. You have to strive more. Coaching is what exists in my zone of genius. That's why it's easy. That's why it flows. That's why I can do it for 11 years and it not feel hard. And doing business for that long feels hard.
Yes. Coaching feels like being almost fully in the feminine.
Yeah.
Marketing feels very much in the masculine.
So heavily weighted toward that side.
And it's actually kind of amazing that we've been able to sustain and even grow a business for over a decade with so little marketing, because I think we have such strong, both of us are very, very heavily weighted feminine energy people. And I think that actually served us well to a point, but it just means we've done almost no marketing because we'll do a little bit and then it's so draining. But you're right, like the business marketing and just generally business owner work tends to feel a lot more like pushing and striving and growing and going after and achieving by nature.
That's great for some people. If you really like that, if that lights you up, that might not feel masculine to you.
Exactly. Well, and it also has to do with your passion profile. So if you are a pure fire starter, that might feel very good to you.
Yeah, really aligned.
You're a side hustler or whatever. You might be a profile where that is exciting and feels super aligned. But that's always felt half aligned for Rachel and I to be business owners.
Yeah, at best, half aligned. And the older I get, I was about to say the longer I live, which is true. I mean, they're the synonyms, but it just feels a little bit more morbid to say the longer I live. The less energy I have to do the business stuff. I just don't care about it. And it almost has started to feel out of integrity to keep forcing myself to do the business stuff when I feel like it's almost like I'm letting Clarity on Fire as like its own entity down by trying to force it to be something that it's not. I gave this analogy to Kristen like months ago when I first started like seriously being like, I think I'm ready for this to be more of my hobby. I was like, I feel like Clarity on Fire is like an artistic kid. And we as parents have often forced it to play sports and it doesn't want to, and it's not good at it. Mm-hmm. And it can kind of, it's like good enough that it can like make the team and it can, but like, it doesn't want to be an athlete.
We've brought in coaching, experts to help work on certain skill sets in their sports. And they're just like, yeah, that's fine. Can I go back to music now?
Right. I just don't care. Like, stop forcing me to be something that I am not. Mm-hmm. And so I acknowledged that. But obviously there's a huge gap between acknowledging something and then, well, what the hell am I going to do now? Because guess what? I still live in a MFing capitalistic hellscape at times. And you got to make money. You got to pay that mortgage. You don't want to have to move back in with your parents again for different reasons this time. So, I mean, yeah, having a hobby business is great, but you're probably not going to make as much money from a hobby business if you literally just stop marketing it or trying, or like trying on a business sense at all. You're going to have to have another source of income. You might need to go get yourself a Thriver job or something. And of course, so I started exploring and I immediately hated it. I mean, does anyone like job searching? No, never. But I try to apply the advice and the wisdom that we have received from other people like Emily Liu and the things that we've gleaned over the years from working with so many clients that's worked. And even then I'm like, yeah, no, this sucks. And it gives me a new level of, I already had it, but just another level of empathy for all of the clients I've worked with who, don't like it. I know it's not fun, but I took my own feedback and I stayed open. I'm not, I wasn't looking for a job. I was just exploring opportunities. Mm-hmm. And that's a very different mindset. I always tell people that, like, at first, when you're job searching but you don't really know what you're looking for, you're not actually job searching. Job searching is what happens when you know what you're looking for. Yeah. If you don't yet know and you're just exploring, call it that. Call it an exploration.
And that's an important part of the process. It's how you get enough clarification to then go intentionally search for the right kinds of jobs. Sometimes you don't even know what those are first. So you have to give yourself a little bit of space to do the exploring side of it first.
You're trying to expose yourself to new ideas and new possibilities. So that's what I started to do. Just casually.
Take the pressure off.
Yeah. So I exposed myself to lots of things that I know I could do or I could be good at. And so, pause. I'm going to tell you a related story. Okay. Late in March, I had a dream. Okay. And in this dream, I woke up. It was like 2 a.m. and I didn't write it down because I was like, I know this is important and I'm going to remember it, but I'm too tired. And if I write this down, I won't be able to go back to sleep. So I'm like, I don't care. I prioritize sleep over writing the exact message down. But in the dream, our friend Madeline, who's been on the podcast many years ago, but she's, a very gifted astrologer, tarot reader, intuitive, was giving me a very basic debrief in this dream about Mercury retrograde. Like, just in general, Here are things that you can expect during Mercury retrograde. I have no idea what she was even saying. It doesn't matter. She was just telling me about Mercury retrograde. But she then said, and everything is going to start getting easier on May 9th. And I woke up and I was like, that's important. Okay, I'm gonna remember that. Which I did. I woke back up in the morning. I looked at May 9th. Wouldn't you know, it fell during Mercury retrograde. I didn't know that, first of all. I don't know when Mercury retrograde is ever going to be, just so you know, until it's happening. Because I'm not really
hardcore about tracking it.
I'm not hardcore about astrology at all. I just lean on the knowledge of the people in my circle who know more than me. So I don't have to learn. They just keep handing me fish and I don't have to learn how to fish for myself. So anyway, I look and of course, May 9th falls toward the end of Mercury retrograde. And so I just clock, okay, all right, we'll see. I don't often sometimes I get downloads. I have interesting things happen in dreams. I'm pretty intuitive, but I don't often get dates, like specific dates.
Pretty specific. Yeah.
So, okay. Back to my exploration and exposing myself to new ideas and possibilities. I keep seeing jobs pop up as I'm exploring LinkedIn in the realm of change management, which I've heard of, but I don't really know exactly what it is. But the more I read about the job descriptions, the more I'm like, this really sounds a lot like coaching. Or it sounds like someone who has a decade of coaching experience would be a good fit for a lot of these types of roles. And they seem more interesting to me than anything else that I'm seeing pop up. So I hit up my friend Stacy, our friend Stacy, who is also a coach, but she's also got like a million certifications and all the things and isn't a huge extrovert and like knows everyone. And so I knew she would know. And I asked her, what's the deal with this? Mm-hmm. And she's like, oh, well, this is Yeah, she knows exactly what it is. It's more of like the managing the people side of organizational change. If you've got like you've had a bunch of layoffs or you've acquired a new company or there's like a big IT integration that needs to happen. It's like sort of combining the leadership, project management, and then also like managing the people's emotions and helping them accept and release resistance around change and plan for change. And I'm like, well, this is coaching as applied to, planning and organizational stuff. And I'm like, okay, well, that's a very bad summary of it, but whatever. I haven't learned enough yet to be able to summarize it better than that. But
you're still in early days of the exploring.
Yeah, she tells me a little bit about what it is, and she's like, I think you'd actually be really good at it. And here is this training, the training everyone looks for is this training. Okay, it's $5,000. I'm like, okay, I don't want to spend $5,000 on a training for something I don't even know that I want to do, right? Mm-hmm. But she's like, you can talk to a couple people I know, because of course she knows people who are like,
of course, in
change management roles. So she hooks me up with a couple people and I schedule chats with them. I end up talking to, this was his decision, not mine, a very nice guy on May 9th who has a very like prominent position in a company doing change management. And long story short, he tells me a lot of great things about change management. And he also happens to be a trainer for the certification that Stacy said would be the best one to get. And he, I'm not even going to go into the details of how this happened, but basically he was like, you can totally just sit in on one of my trainings and get the certification for free. $5,000. May 9th, I manifested a $5,000 free training.
I mean,
I was so impressed with myself that day. I felt like such a top tier witch. Like I had ascended to another level on that day.
I mean, if you want validation that you are moving in the right direction, I can't think of anything clearer or more satisfying than like, here's the training that you need for free. Here's the dates which you're available on. Here's, do it for free. You're going to be fully set. I mean, you can't ask for more. On the day that you downloaded as the day things were going to get easier.
Start getting easier. Yeah.
After that.
When they had been kind of hard, there'd been a lot of confusion. There'd been a lot of like question marks, a lot of uncertainty. And that was the day that everything literally pivoted. Mm-hmm. And I continue to marvel at my powers. Okay. So, so at the time we are recording this, I haven't done this training yet. It's happening in a couple weeks. I don't know what's going to happen. I have no idea. I'm open to whatever comes. I'm in the phase of like, I'm exploring what happens next. I'm still working with plenty of clients. I'm not like trying to like fire all my clients and go get a job. That's not what I'm doing. But I feel pretty committed to, and I feel good about taking the pressure off of coaching and business to be my main source of income and instead do it because I want to do it to the degree that I want to do it. Mm-hmm. And then have other options that I can lean into, like being certified in change management, which is a very evolving, growing field. It's pretty well paid too. Maybe I get a job, maybe I don't, maybe I just take on contracts and like go into organizations and shake things up and leave. I mean, that'd be fun. Maybe
you've already been guided enough to this point,
right?
You're going to be guided to the right next solution after that. I mean, that was the exact experience that I had 2 years ago. So that's how you know that once you're ready to make a pivot, you don't have to have all the answers.
Things
you don't
just
have to
flow.
know all the steps that you're going to have to take. All you have to do is reach a little bit for the next right feeling thing and let that domino knock over the next domino.
Universe is going to let you know. Yeah. So that's what I'm doing. I'm following the breadcrumbs of curiosity right now. It's working out pretty well, but that's part of why I'm like, okay, I'm taking a podcast hiatus because one of the reasons that we podcast so consistently is because I know that some people forget this. It's a business. Like I don't market. This is one of the best ways to to consistently get in front of people and remind them, hi, we can help you.
This is kind of the only quote unquote marketing we do. And I think it's a little bit of a stretch to even call it marketing, frankly.
I know. I mean, obviously I don't do it just for that purpose, but it serves that purpose as well. Like in addition to, I enjoy podcasting. But there's another reason why I'm at a phase where I don't think I want to keep podcasting in this evergreen way. I think, and we've been doing this for 5 years in this way with only a few breaks. The longest break we ever took was last year when we did our hiatus from late October to January. It was 2.5 months. It wasn't really that long. That was the longest break we've ever taken in 5 years of podcasting. Again, I'm at a point where I am no longer interested in leaning into masculine energy. And I think evergreen podcasting for me feels very masculine. It's like you're always having to produce. You don't get any breaks. You don't get time to recoup your energy. You don't get time to be bored and let new ideas come to you. Yeah. Sometimes it feels like a lot of effort.
It's a rigid schedule, even though I don't feel like we're in masculine energy when we are podcasting.
Well, but sometimes the having to force ideas when I don't know what to talk about that week does feel kind of masculine.
Right. That part does because of the rigid schedule. So needing to have something to podcast about every single week can start to feel more masculine.
Yeah.
Even if that's not necessarily the content that we're putting out.
Yeah.
So it is. It's a masculine structure. There's not the ebb and flow, the following your
like a seasonal sort of cycle. Mm-hmm. There's not a time to just lie fallow and winter it up and then let things burst forth later. That's what I want. And I'm actually I'm happy that I'm taking another hiatus, but I'm also torn, which I think is not bad. I'm also but I do have ideas. I do have people I want to interview. And I'm great. You can do that when you come back from a hiatus. Let those ideas marinate. Those people will still be there. You can still talk to them. I want to lean more into feminine energy, which is, again, more cyclical, more seasonal, more going in alignment with your energy and your natural flow. And it's also more about quality over quantity. And that's what I'm more interested in at this phase of my life is I want to produce something really quality. And if it means doing it less so that I can enjoy it more and so that I can produce something that I think is even better, that's what I'm going to do.
And that's why we're calling it a hiatus. Now, we don't know exactly when we're going to be back.
But it's going to be longer than the last hiatus. I feel very comfortable telling you there's no way it's going to be any less time. It's probably going to be more, if not maybe significantly more than our last hiatus.
But we're not intending to just give it up. This is not
we'll be
the
back.
End of a podcast. So
no.
But it is probably the end of this. Well, I think it's fair to say that's the end of this weekly
evergreen version of the podcast. Yeah.
We're thinking about different ways that we want to come back and when and how and all of that. But
when we come back, it will be seasonal. It will not be every week anymore. It'll be you'll get a season of Clarity on Fire and then we'll be back some number of months later with more content. Mm-hmm. And I know that sucks because there are certain podcasts that I love to listen to every week. And I'd be really sad if they went seasonal. But you bet your ass there are podcasts like Revisionist History that drop once a year for a couple months. And it is like my Super Bowl. And so you know what? I love both. Mm-hmm. And it's okay that I'm ready to make a transition from being one type of podcast to another type of podcast. I think that's great.
After 5 years.
And after 5 years, yeah.
So if you wanted it to stay sort of weekly, most of you have not listened to every episode. So you could keep going back every Friday and find a new one.
Yeah.
And it would be
it never
stopped because we've got plenty of backlog. I know there's a few of you who have listened to every episode, which is still just wild to me, and I am beyond grateful. But you know what? I bet there's a few you haven't listened to in years. So it could feel brand new.
Yeah. So that's the story. And I think that'll make sense. I know that some people will be sad and they'll miss us, and I'll miss you too. Mm-hmm. And also, missing is okay. Like,
I mean, there is that phrase, the cliche, absence makes the heart grow fonder, right? My heart is very, very fond of Malcolm Gladwell and revisionist history, and the absence does make it even fonder. So
I'm so excited whenever he comes back. And again, okay, so let's talk about what that means, because I know a lot of you guys are very used to us doing coaching enrollment periods, where, a few times a year we take on new clients. I don't know what that's going to look like the rest of this year, because I might not be podcasting in 3 months to tell you, oh yeah, we're taking on clients again. So I just don't know what's going to happen. Maybe I will do that. Maybe I won't. At this moment, I literally don't know what to tell you. So what I am going to say is that if you are interested in working with us one-on-one at any point, like in, I don't know, the foreseeable future, don't wait for us to announce another enrollment period, because I don't know that we're going to. Feel free to just fill out a form on the one-on-one coaching page of our site, and we'll let you know what our availability is, and we can schedule an intro chat with you and we can talk about it. And if we're not available right now to get started, we could schedule a time, 6 weeks or 8 weeks out or whatever, and we could start. So I'm empowering you, if you are hearing this and you want to work with us. There might not be another official coaching enrollment period, because again, as I'm transitioning this to be more of a hobby business, it doesn't feel super aligned for me to be like organizing these like very official coaching enrollment periods 3 times a year, at least right now. I could change my mind on that, but you are now empowered yourself to reach out if you want to work with us. And if you want somewhere to start with coaching, and especially coaching, remember, you can do a power hour. You can go on our site and you can go to clarityonfire.com. I think it's clarityonfire.com/power-hour. Is that what it is? Probably.
I believe so. Yes.
Okay,
if
whatever.
You
or you can
work with us. The work with us tab will have a drop down that says power hour. So that's the easiest way to find it. And if you haven't yet, I imagine most of you have already done this, but if you want to potentially hear from us in between, we may occasionally send out an email if we want to let you know about something without putting out an entire podcast episode. Make sure you're on our email list, and that way you won't miss anything that we're sharing with our community in the meantime. And the best way to do that is just go take or retake the Passion Profile quiz, and it will ask for your email address, and you'll get added to our online community. So that's a way to make sure anything that we do want to share, which
I'm sure we will email here and there about stuff. So yeah, make sure you're on our email list. And of course, you can also follow us on Instagram, which I'm not going to be posting a lot, but I might share some stories and stuff here and there. So at Clarity on Fire on Instagram. And yes, again, if you want to do like a single coaching session with us at any time, you can book a power hour at 75 minutes. And if you then want to do one-on-one coaching, we allow you to apply everything you paid toward your power hour toward coaching. So it's kind of like you got it for free. It's like a nice little down payment toward coaching, which is fun. So I'm excited and I don't know what's going to happen next.
Which is scary, but also it is a little bit exciting.
It is exciting.
The unknown. Because whenever you free up space, the universe hates a vacuum, and something will come in. If you don't crowd it in and fill it up out of discomfort, then the universe will bring something into you in that space. So I'm so excited to.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like whenever we come back, we're going to have a lot to tell you about how this space got filled. I have a feeling.
I'm sure.
And it could be a doozy of things that ended up happening. So don't be strangers. Follow us on Instagram. Get on our email list. We're still here. If you want to coach with us, hit us up. We have not disappeared. And the last thing I'm going to say is that don't be surprised when you see a new episode pop up next week. What we are planning to do, because we have so many episodes, and if new people find us, I feel like it could be really overwhelming to know where to start. Mm-hmm. And I don't really want the most recent episode new people see to be one about like, hi, we're leaving. Right. Because that might confuse them. So I want to make it easy for new people to know where to start. And so I'm going to have an episode come out next Friday, I think, about, hey, if you're new to Clarity on Fire, here's where to start. And we're going to just introduce ourselves to new people. And we're going to share a top 10 list of episodes that I think would be a good place for them to start with Clarity on Fire. And so if you want to introduce new people to the podcast in this interim period while we're away, maybe that's a great episode to send them.
Or if you have been around for a while, but you want a refresher on some episodes that maybe you haven't listened to in a while, or maybe you missed them altogether, that might be a good place for you to go back and say, I'm not quite ready for this to be done for a while. So I want to revisit some of the favorites.
Yeah. So, I mean, God,
feel free to use it however you want.
I mean, I've forgotten about episodes we did. So I know you guys have, right? Yeah. Anyway, okay. Well, I am so grateful to all of you who listen, truly, like every time especially when we meet like a potential new client, almost every single one of them is like, I love your podcast. I love listening to you and Kristen. You guys are so funny. You have like such a fun dynamic. You guys are like an old married couple, whatever. It's all true. And I'm so grateful for that. And I really do love doing this. And I want to keep enjoying it, which is why I got to change things up. Mm-hmm. Got to protect my ability to enjoy what I do. And that's coaching, that's podcasting, and to maybe minimize all the things I don't like doing that surround this business.
And ultimately, I truly believe this is going to be a win-win. So when we do come out with new episodes, it's going to be exactly what we want to share. We're going to have a lot of energy and excitement about what we're sharing.
Yeah.
And hopefully that means it's even more exciting for you guys when we do come back. And we're going to feel a lot better about it and be able to sustain it longer. So hopefully it's a win-win all the way around, even if it feels a little bit like a bummer right now.
Well, and if they want to talk to me or you, well, they can do some coaching. We're still here.
We're still around. Haven't gone anywhere.
Okay. Well, we will see you when we see you. And make sure you're subscribed if you want to be alerted when we come back.
Okay. Bye for now.
Bye for now.